Hello everyone and welcome to Victoria's Cantina. Today we're having a look at the Medicom MAFEX Star Wars Boba Fett Return of the Jedi 6-inch scale action figure. MAFEX is kind of like the Forrest Gump of toy companies. Like a box of chocolates, you never know what you're gonna get. And luckily, like we saw with Kylo Ren, they seem to be on the upswing of things, as it was a very solid figure, an imperfect figure, but a solid figure nonetheless. There's two versions of Boba Fett. There's the Empire Strikes Back version and the Return of the Jedi version. I opted to get the Return of the Jedi version because I personally prefer the changes they made to the costume. I like the colors a little bit better, and I also feel that it's kind of the neglected Boba Fett look between the two versions. Toy companies just don't really give the Return of the Jedi costume a whole lot of attention, so that's kind of why I wanted to go that route instead. Looking at the packaging, it's a pretty big box for the figure. You can see him in there pretty nicely. You can see his gun and his extra hands. You get an image there at the bottom left of the figure. On one side, it simply says Star Wars and shows you a look at the figure. Opposite side says Star Wars again and shows you another look at the figure. Also says this is number 25 in the MAFEX line. Not necessarily the Star Wars line, but just the general MAFEX line of the different properties that they make figures for. And at the back, you get a look at the figure once again. And you see different things that you can do with the figure, different features that it has. And I think that it looks pretty nice. I think it looks really, really nice. And I've heard a lot of good things about this figure, so I'm pretty excited to get him unboxed. That way we can take a closer look and see what he's like. So let's get to it. Alright you guys, now here is the figure out of the packaging, and I gotta say, MAFEX absolutely crushed it. These aesthetics are just incredible. It's a very proportionate figure. Looking at the size of the helmet in relation to the body, it just looks very correct. You can visualize taking that helmet off and seeing, his unmasked head under there. You can't do that with the figure, but I mean, just looking at it, it looks like it's the correct size helmet. Not to mention the level of detail in the rest of the costume is really far out. He's in a very nice neutral pose here, and there's plenty of detail to be seen on the costume. I think it looks exquisite. Very nicely detailed jetpack, a very nice plastic cape that's dripping off of his left shoulder. And being a MAFEX figure, there is a lot of articulation involved and a few interchangeable hands. Here's a close-up of the man, the myth, Boba Fett. Like I said, aesthetically, MAFEX absolutely knocked it out of the park. I mean, all of the detail you would expect here for the helmet, it's absolutely there. It looks to be very accurately sculpted. The shape of the helmet, the size of it, I mean, it all looks excellent. And then you have that very nice painted detail on it as well. And it just looks so correct and it's so awesome. Really liking that nice shade of green there. Visor looks great. Very dark red, mahogany-like outline around that. Then some darker green in here. You got the rangefinder right there, which you can move down, which is pretty cool. It's made of a plastic, and it seems a little delicate. I probably wouldn't move that around a whole lot, but the aesthetics here are simply incredible. You got all that metallic wear and tear. It kind of looks like the paint is kind of wearing off, and it's revealing Jango Fett's helmet underneath, which of course was silver. So maybe time for a repaint, Mr. Boba. Rest of the costume, of course, looks so nice. Really nice armor right here in the chest area. Shoulder pads look great. Very nice shade of yellow. You get the Mandalorian symbol right there. The flight suit itself is very nice. Look at the sculpted wrinkles in there. It just looks incredible. I especially like this belt detail here. I mean, it just got so nice texture there. And just looks exquisite. I mean, it truly does. Different shades of brown. Very nice belts. And here at the back, the rocket pack is permanently affixed to the figure. Now, I did notice that on my figure, it looks like it's kind of angled a little bit that ways. It's not too noticeable, but it seems like it's very slightly off center. And there's not a way to fix it because it seems like it's permanently attached in place, which it is what it is. It's not too big of a deal. Not really something you're going to notice unless you're looking for that. But the paint on the rocket pack looks amazing. Just look at that. I mean, it looks metallic, looks realistic, and just awesome. These little, where the flames come out from, those do rotate. So they are kind of stiff, but you can move them. And then there's like some little vents down there at the bottom. And just overall, This is a really nice looking rocket pack. Difference in color from there to there. Almost has more of like a darker color here, and then more of like a brushed bronze maybe. But it looks great. I mean, I'm really, really, really digging the aesthetics here. You also get these Wookiee braids in here, which are basically a soft, pliable plastic, and they are permanently attached up there at top. You can see some blonde ones, and then some brown ones. Overall, not too bad. They look decent enough. One thing I don't really like, though, is that you do have these wires back here, and they do kind of come out. And that's deliberate. That's so that you can pose it and stuff. I'm just not a huge fan of that. I mean, it's kind of annoying more than anything else. I mean, if you're buying a MAFEX or a Figuarts figure, I mean, you're supposed to have a little bit of patience so that you can deal with this sort of stuff. You know, just reposition it. It's not a big deal. But you will see that there are a couple holes that are like right there. And you're supposed to plug them in, and that's a little tricky to do sometimes, so because they do come out a little too easily. But, you know, again, with a little patience, you can kind of find their way back in there and then get your figure posed again into different poses. So it works. I just don't think it's an ideal thing, but it is better than having them just flat out tear or break on you. So in that respect, I do understand it. The plastic cape, I think it looks okay. I'm not blown away with it. The Black Series version had the soft goods cape, and it was a little too big. I think this is a better size, but I'm not blown away by the cape for whatever reason. It just seems a little simple, which is good. I mean, like I said, the figure's aesthetics are awesome, but I don't know. Maybe if it was soft goods, it would have looked a little better. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. I mean, the figure looks exquisite as is. Down here, you get more belt detail there on the back side. He's got some pouches right there. Bottom parts of the flight suit right here. You get some pockets there. And again, very nice sculpt work and wrinkling and folds there. Knee pads look very nice. And then, of course, bottom of his feet right there. And the shoes look quite good. Now, in the way of articulation, you do have a ball joint here at the very top of the neck. And that enables you a pretty nice range of movement. You can move it forward and back. Plus, you also have the ball joint at the bottom of the neck. So that helps with the movement, most certainly. Now, it doesn't go up as much as I would like. I kind of wish that it was able to go like all the way up. That way you can make him like in a flight pose or something. But unfortunately, we're just not able to do that. Now, here at the shoulders, we do have those butterfly joints. So you can push the arms downward, push them back up. You also get your ball joints in there, so you can lift them out like that. Now, the shoulder pads don't really get in the way. They are a little bit flexible, and they are attached up here to the top of the shoulders, so you do get some pretty good movement there. And of course, you can move them forward like that. And when you put them back down, they do stick out a little bit, but you can kind of just press them, and they kind of adhere back to the silhouette of the arms. You also have a rotation there at the top of the bicep. It's a little bit hard to move that independently from the rest of the ball joint, but it does move. And then here at both of the elbows, you do get those double elbows, so that's pretty nice. Here at both of the wrists, you have those removable hands, so you do have the ball peg underneath. It's not much of a ball peg, actually, and it's more of just a little joint there, and it just kind of sticks with friction more than anything else. But you do get really good movement there, so you can rotate those hands any which way you want. And he does come with both of these fists out of the packaging. Here at the torso, he does have a ball joint, and you can rotate it like this. You can move it forward and up just a little bit, but you can't really get much of a tilt from it. And it is interesting to see how the belt right here, at least this belt on top, is a separately sculpted piece that's affixed to the figure. Here at the hips, we do get our drop-down ball hinging. So we've seen this before on other MAFEX figures. You can pull them down, and that just helps to get more posability with the figure. And you do have your traditional ball joints there as well. So you can do just about a full split with Boba Fett. And then if you wanted to move them forward, well, you could do that too. They go up about yay much. He's got rotations that are separately sculpted from the rest of the hip joint. And then he has the double bends here at both of the knees. So you get some pretty good movement there. Down here at the ankles, you get a very nice ball joint, goes up and down. You can rotate it around. You can get pivot. And then you also get a toe joint right there. So overall, it's a very nicely articulated action figure. Now, as far as the other hands that Boba comes with, he has these two open hands for both the right and the left. And then he also has a right trigger finger hand, but not one for the left. Now, in the way of accessories, Boba comes with his sawed-off blaster rifle, which is specific to Return of the Jedi, because in Empire, he had a different rifle. And I think it looks really good. It's got a nice metallic finish. It's got lots of nice little details on it. Just very nicely executed overall. All right, you guys, now here is the MAFEX Boba Fett next to the Hasbro Star Wars The Black Series Boba Fett. And you can see they're a little bit different. Of course, this MAFEX version is based off Return of the Jedi, whereas the Black Series version is based off The Empire Strikes Back. So you do have some aesthetic differences because of the difference in costumes. Those differences are overall pretty minor, but just looking at them one to the other, you can see that the MAFEX is a lot more proportionate. It's got better aesthetics, more detail, and overall just looks like a little person in a costume, essentially. The helmet is very proportionate to the rest of the body. All of the armor looks good. The jetpacks are different colors. The MAFEX has a plastic cape, whereas the Black Series version has a cloth cape. Now, they are about the same height overall and are both great figures. I really do like the Black Series version. I think it's one of Hasbro's best for the 6-inch line. But there's no doubt that the MAFEX just really takes the cake in terms of overall aesthetic awesomeness, posability, and wow factor. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so there you have it. This is the Medicom MAFEX Star Wars Boba Fett Return of the Jedi 6-inch scale action figure. Overall, you guys, I am pretty blown away with the figure. I mean, aesthetically speaking, it's absolutely gorgeous. The proportions are expertly accomplished. The sculpt work is amazing. The coloration, I think, is pretty close to being perfect. All of the joints move very fluidly, and you can get them into some very nice poses. MAFEX isn't generally known as producing the most QC-friendly figures, but they're really improving, and this is a very promising sign here looking at Boba Fett. I just really like the overall look of the figure. It's very commanding on your shelf. It's got a very strong presence. The interchangeable hands aren't hard to remove or put on there. I like that. The gun is very nice. As I mentioned, I do kind of wish he would have come with another accessory or two, but it's not a huge deal because I don't think he had anything else in the film. Maybe if they would have included the blaster rifle after it had been cut in two by Luke's lightsaber, I think that kind of would have been cool. But again, not a huge deal. Overall, from top to bottom, this is a very solid figure. If you're a fan of Boba Fett, then, you need to go out and get this figure. If you already have the Black Series version and can be happy with that, I think it's a great figure. But it really pales in comparison to the MAFEX version. Whether you get the Empire version or the Jedi version, you're going to be very happy with MAFEX's Boba Fett. It's top notch, looks awesome, and play value here is fantastic. Alright my friends, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If so, do give us a like, do subscribe, let me know your own thoughts down below. Be sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and as always, I'd like to thank you for tuning in to Victoria's Cantina. Until next time my friends, bye bye.